Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Living Ageless and Bold. I have a special one this week. Veteran film and TV actress Elaine Hendrix has lit up screens in everything from The Parent Trap, one of my favorites, to Freakier Friday and the Dynasty reboot. You've seen her on Friends, ER, Married with Children, Charmed, Get Smart. It just goes on and on. But it's her recent run on Dancing with the Stars that truly captured America's heart. She was one of only 4 women over 50 to ever reach the finals in the show's 34 seasons. She delivered a comeback that proves that reinvention doesn't have an expiration date. And Elaine is showing all of us what it looks like to create a brand new chapter at any age. So Elaine, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. That introduction makes me want to cry.
Well, you are amazing. And before we start, I do have to give a big shout out to my daughter, Megan, because everyone was home for Thanksgiving and we were all on the couch, my son, his fiance, my daughter, and we were watching the finale. And she's like, Mom, you need to interview her for the podcast. And I was like, that is brilliant. And then I reached out. And so thank you for saying yes.
Yeah.
Very excited.
My pleasure.
So being on Dancing with the Stars had to have been a full circle moment for you. So I'd like you to kind of tell your story of when your career first started and the pivot that happened that really changed everything.
Yes. So I went to a performing arts high school. And it was there that I learned. So let me back up a little bit. I grew up in a small town in East Tennessee. And then when I was in high school, my mom and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And a friend of hers said, oh, Elaine needs to go to this performing arts school because I'd been performing my whole life. I loved it so much. And she was like, okay, so we checked into it. I had to audition to get in. That was like my very first audition and in my life. And I got into this performing arts school and I learned like, oh, you can actually do performing arts for a living. And so I got very into dance. My mentor had studied with Alvin Ailey. And so I learned like classic modern and contemporary jazz. And I was very much on that track. And my mom, in fact, said to me, I don't think you should go to college. You're so into dance. You need to do it now while you're young. You can always go back. And
not many moms would say that. So
I know.
Gosh, your mom, amazing to see that in you and she's right. You can go back at any time, but especially back then, I don't feel like our parents ever encouraged anything other than you're going to go to college, you're going to get a job. Like that's what you do.
Right. The traditional route.
Yeah.
But my mom had her master's degree. She got married. She had me and then got divorced. So in some ways she was traditional, in some ways she wasn't. But she really believed in me. And so I did that. I went to LA and I started dancing and like learning how to do all of this professionally. And then I was hit by a car while I was riding a bicycle. And some people have said, oh, well, you got into that car wreck. And I'm like, oh, hold up. Let's be real clear. I didn't get into a car wreck. I was hit by a car. That's very, very different. And then that's when I did have to pivot dancing. And I still did some dancing, but not anything to the extent where I was training like I was. Because it was way too painful. And I still, to this day, have injuries that I have tried every modality under the sun. And I just, my body just has had so much wear and tear. And so when Dancing with the Stars came up, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a real opportunity for me to go back to what I originally loved so much and to see what I could still do. And I wasn't not in shape, but I wasn't in dancing shape.
Well, dancing, right. That there is something, the dancing shape is a whole different ball game than, oh, I work out a little bit every day.
Exactly.
The stamina.
Yeah, everything about it, the flexibility, the strength, the stamina. So not only was I learning ballroom dances, which I had never done before, and partner dances, which I had never done before, I was also like remembering what I used to could do, testing what I could do now, and getting in shape, like all, and learning, it was all very much in real time.
How much time did you have from when they invited you to be on the show to when the show started?
Before I actually started, I had maybe 2 weeks before I started training.
I was like, not a lot of time to get in dancing shape.
No. And there was no time because I was traveling, doing press for Freakier Friday and an off-Broadway play I was producing. And then I also, I'm of the age and the time in my life where I'm helping to take care of my parents. And so my dad and my stepmom, I go up to Tennessee to take care of them. So I was doing that. I had to wrap up a lot of loose ends before I left for potentially and what indeed became 3 months of my life.
What an amazing 3 months, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you truly became America's sweetheart on the show. Like everybody, when I've been posting on Instagram and my friends are all sending me messages like, I love her. I love her. I love her. Like there's just something about you that is so endearing. So tell us about, what's a day in the life of, we see snippets on the show and, obviously you end up in the hospital. What's it really like?
Well, the hospital is not what it's really like. Let me lead with that. That was very atypical. Getting injured on the show is actually very typical, but, being taken to the hospital in an ambulance, I think they said it had only happened once, maybe 2 other times in the history of the show. And, but I would wake up every day. Our schedules would be entirely different every day because coordinating with the pro, with me, I was doing press, I was doing recovery. So I would rehearse a minimum of 4 hours. And then I would also maybe work out. And then I would do recovery. And then I would try to get at least 9 hours of sleep. And so it was all consuming. I mean, I knew what it would entail. And especially at my age, I really wanted to make sure that I didn't get injured. And, the best laid plans of mice and men, I did still get injured and very much so. But I think it was because of my effort and my focus that I was able to recover enough so quickly to continue. And that was the thing for me. That is not how I wanted to go out on the show. So I was fighting really, really hard. And so all of that, I mean, and the further that you went along, the rehearsals went from like 4 hours to 8 hours a day. And then it's like multiple dances and group stuff and fittings and hair and makeup. It is all encompassing.
Were you ever scared that you would forget something? Like you're on live TV, like you'd forget a move, or you just, did that ever cross your mind, or were you just laser focused and I've got the dance, I know this, we're great?
Yeah, both and. I was hyper focused. Alan and I ran the dances and ran the dances and ran the dances. And I feel like he properly taught me the dances. And I am menopausal. And I would say to him before every single show, I would say, Alan, there's a very real chance I'm going to glitch. And it's just chemical. I can't help it. Like, I never know when my brain is literally just going to drop out and I like forget where I am and what's happening. And nobody would ever know it. But at least that I can think of off the top of my head, I made two mistakes. And Alan was like, yeah, you got to, and which I know, like nobody else knows our routine. So nobody else knew that I did them.
No Carrie Ann saying, I saw you missed that.
Yeah, no. I mean, in our Insta dance, we had a flub, but I kind of don't count the Insta dance. That was I don't know what that was about, but like the dances that I really properly trained for. And otherwise, I was really proud of myself because I was nervous about dancing live in front of millions of people. That was daunting.
Yeah. Well, and how did it make you feel, the show that you weren't on, that when they did your rehearsal and you got 8, like you got to go on to the next show?
Yeah.
That had to have been incredible.
Oh my gosh. It makes me emotional now.
Oh.
I was, my best friend Lisa, of course, was with me because she'd come to the hospital and she drove me home, and we were waiting on pins and needles, and it's the combination of the scores and the votes. And so I literally didn't know what would happen. I didn't know if people would rally around me or if they would be like, she's finished, don't waste a vote on her. And people rallied around me. And it was from that point on that every single week, I literally thought, oh, okay, well, tonight is when they're going to be like, don't waste your vote. Like I just knew. And that was Halloween. So from Halloween on, every week I just knew I was going home, and I didn't.
You didn't. And it's just so empowering for women our age. This whole platform and the podcast and everything I've done, this all stemmed from a certain CNN anchor who told a 56-year-old politician that she was past her prime, and he was 56 at the time. Oh. And I was like, my husband said he saw the steam come out of my head. I'm like, that's it. I'm doing the podcast. I wanted to show all these amazing women like you. And I've interviewed 139 women so far.
Wow.
With incredible stories that, people would think, especially in Hollywood, oh, you're 50, 54. Sorry, Elaine, you're quote unquote washed up.
Yeah.
But you're not. Like that's what was so amazing about this.
Thanks. Yeah. I will say it's such a funny thing because, I'm sure everyone can relate. We perceive ourselves differently than the world perceives us. And so, and that can go two ways, actually. Like you can either agree to see what the world sees, or you can say, no, I don't agree with what the world sees, but that's up to us. I guess that's really the point, is that our perspective of ourselves is up to us. And we're human. Of course, I have conditioning that I've been unwinding my entire life of, trying. I was lucky in that I had a very feminist mother who really helped me at a very young age to you get to define you. And I feel like every day of my life, I fight for that. And so there are certain things, conditioning, that I'm always fighting against. And then there's other things that I'm like, oh, wait, am I supposed to believe that? Well, I just don't. And well, that's not me. And what? I don't understand. So I'm so grateful to be born now, because I think women, and I think especially us Gen Xers, are really like fighting to shift the narrative and to pave the way for younger women to define who they are. And that's how it should be. We should be able to define who we are.
I love that. My daughter's 25, and watching her and all of her friends, and it is very different than when we were 25, just in the corporate world. And like, she really doesn't take any shit from anybody. Like, I shouldn't say it like that, but really, like, I'm so proud of her because she's such a strong woman, and all of her friends are like that too. And in life and work. And I'm like, yes, cause even when we were growing up, you said you had a strong feminist mother, and I did too. I had a single mother, but the norms were not there. There were still things we were supposed to do that I think has really changed now. And I think we Gen Xers had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I'm glad, there's definitely times that I don't take any shit from anyone. And then there's other times it's like, oh, Elaine, you see, there's a real good opportunity for you to work on your self-worth. And I think, that's just life. But my intention is always like, I live my life believing that we're all pebbles in the pond, right? So whatever I can do to create the strongest ripple in the most positive and effective way, that's my compass.
I love that. So you have done so much work. I mean, from TV shows and movies. Do you see any obstacles, hindrances as you age in Hollywood? I mean, obviously you just did Freakier Friday, so not there, but do you see it? Do you see it changing, that there are more opportunities for women our age?
Yes and no. Hollywood is changing as a whole, the whole world, technology and what social media has done to us. And I'm going to kind of answer that in sort of a backdoor way. Like, if I were starting my career now, it's just so different than when I started. And like, I teach a lot and I learned so much from my students to help mirror back to them, to help them figure out how to navigate this. And I think that there is, in some ways, there's like more opportunities than ever, but it's because it's changing so much. And so the normal path is still filled with all the typical landmines that we've had to deal with. And it is filled with sexism and ageism. And although, maybe not as much as before, but so it's a whole mixed bag, and you just really gotta fight for like, what is your voice? And I tell my students, and I stand by this as well, like, you gotta have the line in the sand that you won't cross no matter what. And for me, I had certain things that I won't cross, and that has to do with it has to do with me feeling around my safety, around my beliefs, around my ethics. And there's not enough money. I've literally turned down 6 figures because it doesn't align with my beliefs. And so I think you have to like be really strong about that. And then up until that line in the sand, it's sort of anything goes. And something that Alan and I really focused on every week is like, what can we control? What I can control, what I could control was what I did out on the dance floor. So my performance, how I show up, how I walk through the world, that's what I can control. And other people's decisions and other people's creations and how that, I can't always control that.
Is this like a lifetime friendship, like a bond that I just feel like, I know it was only 3 months, but all day, every day, and the dances. And I mean, there's a certain intimacy in the dancing that is that just, or do you just say like, hey, thanks, see you around? Or are you guys like forever bonded?
I hope we're forever bonded. I'm a people collector, as I like to call myself.
I love that.
Yeah. So I have a big, vast network of people that I stay in touch with. And so far we've been texting a lot.
That's great.
I'm that person, he's of the generation, I guess I'll find out, if he is, but so far so good.
Oh, okay. And I would be remiss if we do not talk about Parent Trap. One of my favorite movies. I've seen it, I don't know, 100 times. But that was your breakout role. So talk about, I mean, what a fun role to play. It was just such a great movie. So talk about that. How did it all come about?
That was literally just a good old fashioned audition. I got a call. Yeah. They actually wanted me to come in the same day. And I found out later from Charles Shire, who was the co-writer and producer, married to Nancy Meyers, who co-wrote it and directed it at that time. He said to me, he was like, well, you're the 433rd actress we saw for this role. And I was like, oh, no, I didn't. I don't know how I would know that, but no, I did not know that. And working for them was very specific, and they really knew what they wanted. And that was one of those things can't control. I just lucked out, and all of my hard work and what I did with my performance, it aligned. And it was absolutely magical.
Well, you were Meredith Blake. I see why they had 433 auditions, because you were perfect, just absolutely perfect in that role.
Thanks.
So that was your first big breakout movie, right?
That was my second studio film. Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion was my first one.
Oh, I didn't realize that was before that.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of huge.
Yeah. And so that was, and I had done a TV series, and, work tends to beget work, and you accumulate and you pile on with Hollywood. But I mean, Parent Trap was just such a standout movie, and that role was such a standout role. And then the legs that it's had, like, we could have never predicted, like, it would still be what it is today. And I always wonder, like, what would that have been like if we had had social media back then? Because we didn't. And so I just wonder what that experience would be like. Because now Meredith Blake is all over social media, and it's almost 30 years later.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Do you have a favorite TV show or movie that you were in?
No, because it's sort of like, there's a ton of commonalities, but there's also the people, especially, and the characters, like the dynamics, the energy just makes them all different. So it's kind of like saying, who's your favorite kid?
Yeah.
And but we all know we have a favorite kid.
I was going to say, and you ask my kids and they'll each tell you it's the other one. So
I'm going to say, of course I loved everything, but right now I'm living off the love of Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
That brought so much to me, and in such unexpected ways that's really, really special.
Yeah. Well, it really put you back in the spotlight. And like I said, everybody just loved you on the show. Talk about your friend Lisa, because they always showed her and she was by your side through all of this. Yeah. How long have you been friends? Talk about your friendship a little bit.
So we met doing the Parent Trap. So we've been friends for almost 30 years, and we have gone through everything together. And I did not expect her to be there every week, because she's filming Abbott Elementary. And she's like, no, of course I'm going to be there every week. And I was like, amazing. And there was a couple of close calls that she didn't know if she would finish in time, but she did. And then at one point, I think it was maybe around the 20th episode, the 20th anniversary episode, I said, can you stop crying, please? And get people to start chanting or something I want you to fire up the crowd. And she's like, I can't help it. Watching you dance just makes me so emotional. And so it was so beautiful to have her there, and to have her in two of my numbers. And we will be older than we are now, and we'll get back, to look back, and we'll both get to say we did that.
I think friendships take on a different meaning at our age. I think when you go through your 20s and your 30s, there's a lot of keeping up with, and, she's cool, I should hang out with her. And I think as you get to this stage in life, it's like, who's that small, intimate group that has your back for everything? And that, how many friends would come, and who knew you were going to be on for 3 months, right? And she was there every single show. It's amazing.
Well, ask her. She'll say, I knew. She had belief in me at times when I didn't in myself, both her and Alan. That's what I said. I learned to believe, my expectations and my belief in myself actually was really high, but then it went through the roof doing Dancing with the Stars. And I like to say, while I did it, I did not do it alone. And that's something that I really, especially women, I want to remind them and encourage us to remember, please don't try to do it alone. I couldn't have done, I did not do Dancing with the Stars alone. I could not have done Dancing with the Stars alone. It would have that's just impossible. So, whatever it is that you're wanting to create in your life, please don't do it. Do it. It's up to you to do it, but please don't do it alone.
Right. And get rid of the toxic people, the people 100%. Who tell you, oh, you can't do that. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely learned that at this age. I only want joy, which is okay to say.
Yeah. 100%.
To live the rest this way. Did you have a time on Dancing with the Stars that
that for you personally, you kind of hit rock bottom. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm done. Or were you just constantly like, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this?
Oh no, I definitely had days that I hated the show. I hated Alan. I hated everything about it. I was so tired. I was so injured. I was homesick. And especially that final week, I had to learn 6 dances. I had to pack up my life. They'd put me up in a corporate apartment. I had to pack up 3 months worth of my life. I had to prepare to like go to New York. And then I was like, trying to buy wrap gifts and trying to still be present with everyone to enjoy the last moments. And it was way too much. And I wasn't sleeping. And I just looked at Alan and I was like, I don't care. I can't. Like, I had about 15 hours of sleep in 3 days. And then that night, miraculously, I essentially took like a horse tranquilizer and I got some sleep. And then the next day it was all better. And it was like, that's the power of sleep. Yay.
Yeah. I actually just interviewed a sleep expert, and it's unbelievable what a lack of sleep does to your body, to your mind. Yeah.
It's brutal, especially the older we get. When I was younger, I had no problems with sleeping. And if I did, it was like, so what? Go and you push through. And especially those fun nights when you're staying up late and you bounce back. I don't do that now. Like, no. I don't function without sleep.
Yeah. No, sleep is good. I like sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did it feel when you found out that you were in the finals?
Oh my gosh. So that whole thing, so the semifinals was Prince week, and we did not get to choose our songs. We were just given the songs. And that week in particular, like Wicked was very specific and Prince was very specific. And we had to, one of the requirements was that we had to perform the Prince songs in the order that they came out. That was one of the requirements from his estate. And so it just so happened that for the second week in a row, I went very first, and we got I Want to Be Your Lover from 1979. That song came out, which I didn't realize it was in the 70s. And it, like, that song, while it's Prince, and like if you hear it in real life, it's a real bop. It's like, oh yeah, a groove. But when you try to put it like a ballroom dance to it, it's actually not particularly dynamic. And so it was a beautiful, when we were doing the foxtrot, it was a great fun dance. But then the judges were like, yeah, we really need something more for the semifinals. And we knew that our paso doble was coming. So it was sort of like, hold my dragons, like, just wait. And we came out with that paso and fought so hard. And I was up there. And if you watch, I was the only person smiling on the stage, because I was like, I can't control this. It was one of those, again, like, I just knew I was going home. I just wanted to soak it all in. And then they called me first, and I was crying and screaming. And I was just so grateful, because that was my whole thing. It's not that I didn't think I was going to win, but I knew I was up against a lot of odds to win. So I really just wanted to make it to the finals, and I did.
And you did. And
yeah.
You did. And you inspired women our age everywhere, like really just showing people what's still possible. What is next for Elaine Hendrix?
A lot more live performing. I had set that. Okay. It's so like, it's the power of intention and where we put our energies. Last spring, I was like, I've got to get back to live performing, because that's what really truly feeds my soul. And I had just been away from it for way too long. And so I got a call to go do Hello Dolly, and then Ooh. Dancing with the Stars happened. And then now I'm doing the tour, and I've got a couple of other things that I can't talk about yet. But it's all back to being with the audience.
That's great. No slowing down for you.
No.
You're full steam ahead.
Yeah, not now.
And you mentioned that you teach acting classes. I had read that as well. So talk about that. If somebody wants to come study under you, how do they do that?
Yeah. So all the information is on my website, and I post when I'm going to teach. I mostly teach out of Atlanta because that's where I'm based. But I do a lot of guest teaching in different cities and with different theaters and whatnot. And I love it. I love giving back. And I also feel like because I've had such a long, varied career, my strong suit is being able to translate like what an actual career looks like to other people, like what it entails. And I always will say to my students, like, you've got to figure out for you, but I'm going to give you I'm going to give you 10 different tools. I'm going to give you 100 different tools. I'm going to give you 1,000 different tools, whatever it is that we're working on. And then you've got to figure out, and I'll help you, but you got to figure out like what works for you. Because I'll share like, here's what worked for me, and here's when it worked for me, and here's what you can expect. But, there's no one size fits all. So I feel like that's my strength, is really being able to share like, this is what it takes. Here are all the tools, and I'm going to hold your hand through the process.
And you've done it all. You've done everything there is: TV, movies, comedy, drama, like everything. So what a great teacher you must be.
Thanks.
Are you adding any dancing into your classes?
No, I don't think I'm qualified to teach dancing anymore, but I do teach. I do guest with the dance classes, and I help bring out performance in the dances. So I have done that through the years. And yeah, I joke with my classes when I intro them. I'm like, I've done everything short of porn.
Oh, okay.
But life is both long and short, so who knows?
Well, that's a perfect way to wrap this up. So, Elaine, thank you so much for joining me. And everybody watching and listening, share this episode. We all have had just such a great experience watching Elaine with Dancing with the Stars and all of her work that she's done over the years. And I can't wait to see what's still coming for you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on. This was wonderful.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.